Today we're really zeroing in on one of football's most, well, compelling figures, Aaron Rodgers.
Definitely compelling. And we've got a great stack of material here. Sports history, stats, recent news reports you pulled together. Loads to unpack.
It really is. Rodgers has been, right at the center of the football world for ages, and now the material shows him starting this pretty significant new chapter.
Exactly. So our mission really is to dig into the key insights from this material, the highs, the lows, the very latest developments.
Right, all drawn directly from these sources. So let's just jump right in. Maybe start at the beginning, before the NFL fame.
Sounds good. The sources really highlight his college time at Cal, the Golden Bears. And what jumps out immediately is just how efficient he was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the material points to school records for lowest interception rates, like 1.43% in 2003. And his career rate by 2004 was just 1.95%. It's remarkable, really.
That's wild for college. I mean, just incredibly precise. And the sources mention specific moments, too.
They do, like setting a school record, 26 straight completions. And he tied an NCAA record, 23 in one game against USC back in 2004.
Wow.
Yeah, and led the Pac-10 in completion percentage that year, 66.1%. The material kind of frames these as, early signs of that trademark precision.
Makes sense. That kind of performance, it obviously got him noticed. Led straight to the draft, right?
Yep. First round, 2005 NFL draft. Green Bay Packers picked him up, as the sources note.
But the reports show he didn't start immediately, did he? He was behind Brett Favre for a bit.
That's right. 3 years, 2005 to 2007, backing up a legend. Pretty limited playing time then.
A long apprenticeship.
Yeah, but crucial learning period, you'd imagine. The sources note the transition finally came in 2008 after Favre left. Went to the Jets, actually.
Huh, that parallel. The material points that out, right? How it mirrors Rodgers' own later move.
It does. And when Rodgers finally got that starting job, the sources show he just hit the ground running. Exploded, really.
Over 4,000 yards passing, 28 touchdowns his very first year starting.
Right. Though interestingly, the material also notes that 2008 was his career high for interceptions, 13. A bit of a contrast to later years.
But still, that first year set the tone.
Absolutely. And what the sources make really clear is his time in Green Bay, it wasn't just about being good. It cemented him among the all-time greats. The records back that up.
Okay, yeah, let's get into those records. The material highlights. The career passer rating, 102.6. That's an NFL record, right? Shows that insane consistency.
Insane is the word. And then the career TD to interception ratio, 4.3 to 1. Again, the material frames this as just unprecedented ball security combined with, making big plays.
And the sources emphasize that 2011 season 2, single season passer rating record, 122.5.
Mm-hmm. And the lowest interception percentage in a season, 0.3% in 2018. The numbers as presented here just show this level of dominance few have ever matched.
Beyond just stats, though, the sources list some huge moments, obviously winning Super Bowl XLV, against the Steelers, no less, and Super Bowl MVP.
Got to mention that one. Huge. And the reports mentioned 4 MVP awards total. They specifically call out 2020 and 2021, cementing his status again and again.
And that famous run the table moment in 2016, remember that? The sources recount it. They start 4-6. He says they can win out.
And they do. 6 straight wins to make the playoffs. That confidence, backed up by performance, became kind of his signature.
Yeah. The material also notes him setting the Packers' all-time TD pass record, 443, was it? Week 16, 2021?
That's the one. And breaking Tom Brady's record for consecutive passes without a pick, got to 359 in 2018, then pushed it all the way to 402 attempts. Just incredible ball control.
The sources also point to some crazy single games, like 6 touchdowns in just the first half against the Bears in 2014, tied a record.
Wild. And he's the only guy, according to the reports, only player ever with 400 passing yards, 2 passing TDs, and 2 rushing TDs in a game. And he did it twice.
Just shows that dual threat ability.
For sure. Now, the material is also clear. His time in Green Bay wasn't all smooth sailing. Injuries were a factor.
Yeah. Right. The sources specifically mentioned the collarbone fractures, 2013 and 2017.
Yeah, and playing through stuff, like a broken thumb in 2022. The material suggests that definitely impacted how he played.
Injuries are always part of the narrative, unfortunately, and his playoff record with the Packers. The sources cite that 1-4 record in NFC Championship games. That comes up a lot.
It does. The material presents it as, a key discussion point when people evaluate his overall postseason legacy. Fair or not?
Which brings us to the next chapter after Green Bay, the move to the Jets.
Yep, the sources detail that trade in 2023. And they really lean into that Favre parallel. Again, legendary Packer heads to the Jets late in his career.
Felt like such a big deal at the time, a fresh start. And the sources mention him choosing number 8, his college number.
Right. Number 12 was retired for Namath, but Namath actually said he could wear it. Rodgers chose 8 instead. Respectful move.
A symbolic choice, like you said. But then disaster strikes. The reports show that first season ended almost before it began.
Yeah, the sources detail that Achilles injury, just 4 snaps into the 2023 season opener. Devastating. Brutal turn, really derailed the whole Jets season.
Just heartbreaking. So the sources then cover his comeback in 2024. And while the team, struggled.
He hit some big personal milestones.
Yeah.
Became the 9th QB ever with 60,000 career passing yards, 5th with 500 touchdown passes. The material highlights those.
Impressive numbers. But the reports also mention an unfortunate record that season. Most sacked QB in history.
Yeah, they came in 2024 too. And the sources point out he was playing through multiple injuries, hamstring, knee, ankle. One report cited even said he refused to get scans done at one point.
So a really challenging mix there. Personal achievements, team struggles, his own physical issues.
Exactly how the sources frame it. And the material also covered the firing of coach Robert Saleh after a loss in 2024. The reports say Rodgers denied playing any role in that decision.
Right. And then after the season, the sources state he was released by the Jets. February 2025. It was noted as a post-June 1st designation.
Yeah, basically a financial move for the team's salary cap lets them spread out the hit.
Okay, and this leads us right up to the very recent news. Just this month, June 2025, the material you provided says he signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
That's the big one. A significant move, and the material gives the details. 1-year deal, $13.65 million base, $10 million guaranteed. Could reach $19.5 million with incentives.
And the jersey number thing again, the reports say he's sticking with number 8 in Pittsburgh.
He is. Apparently number 12 is unofficially retired for Terry Bradshaw, the Steelers legend. Permission wasn't given, so Rodgers stays with 8. Shows a respect for tradition there.
Interesting. And the sources share his reasons for picking Pittsburgh. That seems key.
Very key. The material presents it quite clearly. He gave massive credit to head coach Mike Tomlin. Talked about their rapport, basically said that connection meant it was Pittsburgh or retirement.
Wow. So the Tomlin relationship was the deciding factor, according to the sources.
Seems like it. And the reports, quote, his motivation to, still loves the game, wants to help Pittsburgh win a, quote, 7th championship for the city.
Okay, so that covers the football journey up to now. But the sources you shared also go beyond the gridiron, right? Into his other interests and some more public views.
Yeah, the material touches on quite a bit. His interests outside football, like golf, highlights him winning the Pebble Beach Pro-Am tournament in 2023.
And he's a majority owner in the Milwaukee Bucks, the NBA team. Shows his sports involvement is pretty broad.
Right. And his media appearances, too. Being a contestant and even guest host on Jeopardy! The material points to that, showing, his wider interests.
Plus cameos in shows like The Office, Game of Thrones.
Yeah, those two. And the material also makes sure to mention his charity work, founding the It's Aaron charity, supporting the MACC Fund for Childhood Cancer Research. Important stuff.
Definitely. Now, the reports included in the sources also cover some of his views and commentary that have, drawn a lot of attention. Some controversy.
Right. And just to be clear, we're relaying what the source material reports on these topics, not endorsing, just presenting the information given.
Exactly. For instance, the material discusses his advocacy for alternative medicine, legalization of psychedelics.
Yeah.
He's spoken publicly about using ayahuasca.
And regarding COVID-19, the sources state he chose not to get vaccinated, was critical of NFL rules. The reports mention criticism he faced, claims of spreading misinformation. Some reporters cited in the material have called him a conspiracy theorist in that context.
The sources also report his political support for Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Yes. And then the material gets into claims and reports about his interest in or promotion of various conspiracy theories.
Like, the sources include a report where a former teammate, Deshaun Kaiser, said Rodgers talked about 9/11 conspiracy theories.
That's in there. The material also mentions claims about him promoting the Tartarian architecture theory.
And more recently, the sources detail those comments on Pat McAfee's show about Jimmy Kimmel and Jeffrey Epstein.
Right. The reports note Kimmel's strong denial, threatened lawsuit. And then Rodgers later clarifying, according to the sources, saying he was glad Kimmel wasn't on the list and didn't think he was involved in that way.
And then there's the report from CNN, citing an anonymous source, alleging Rodgers claimed the Sandy Hook massacre didn't happen, that the kids were actors.
A very serious allegation. Rodgers' public response, which the sources include, stated, quote, "I am not and have never been of the opinion that the events did not take place."
But the material also notes he didn't directly address the part of the CNN report claiming he called it an inside job. So that's the information presented in the sources on these difficult topics.
Exactly. Important to lay out what's reported. Now, on a completely different and much more recent personal note, there was a bit of a surprise announcement included in the sources.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
The reports state Aaron Rodgers confirmed he got married just a couple of months ago. Apparently, people noticed him wearing a ring at his Steelers signing.
Wow. Okay. Kept that quiet. Do the sources say who?
They identify his wife as Brittani.
Yeah.
But the material notes that, yeah, they've kept the details pretty private.
Interesting. And one source, when mentioning this, also included a reference to comments from a former girlfriend.
Yes, it did. Citing claims of emotional abuse and quoting her saying he leaves a trail of blood and things were torn to bits. The sources report those as statements made by the ex-girlfriend in that context.
Okay. So we've covered a lot, pulling all this together from the material you shared. College star, Packers legend, the records, the injuries, the Jets chapter, now Pittsburgh, plus all the off-field stuff, the views, the personal news. What does this deep dive really show you, the listener?
Well, I think it helps paint that complex picture, right? You see the many, many dimensions of a public figure like Rodgers as presented in these sources.
Yeah, you get a sense of someone navigating huge career moments, life changes, all under this intense spotlight. And it's against this backdrop of, truly remarkable athletic feats.
And also the notable controversies and personal details reported in the material. It shows how multifaceted people are, especially public figures, where you have everything from stats to reports on their private beliefs.
It certainly does. So as we wrap up this deep dive based on the material you shared, maybe something to think about is this. How do these sources make us consider the relationship, or maybe the disconnect, between an athlete's on-field persona, often so controlled, so elite, and the sometimes messy, unpredictable, or controversial parts of their life off the field, as reported here?